I didn't win the $1 billion Powerball Halloween, October 31st drawing. Yeah, it actually made it up to like $1 billion. Can you believe that? I bought 4 tickets. I don't think any of them won. I haven't really scanned them yet, but I know, looking at the numbers, I didn't have the Powerball. What was crazy was, I had 3 quick picks, and all 3, I bought one that I made the numbers. I picked the numbers myself, and then I had 3 that were quick picks, and the 3 quick picks all had the same number for the Powerball, number 21, which turns out wasn't the Powerball on the real drawing, so I didn't win. But anyhow, I'm calling to let you know what happened with, I'm not calling, I'm broadcasting to let you guys know what happened with my internet bill. If you've been following along, then you know that initially, when I moved into my house, my tax deed house that I bought, it's in a poor area. It's a poor side of town, kind of run down, poor. And what happened was, when I got the internet, they had a program initially where the government, I think, paid for the internet for like a whole year or something. They paid for the whole year. I had like free internet. No, I think they paid half or something. Yeah, the government paid half of it, and so my bill was like 19 something. It was like $20 a month for high-speed internet through the cable company. Then the cable company started raising their rates and stuff, and I think that program ended. And then what happened was they jacked the price way up. So I got my internet bill for this month, or last month. I got it, for next month, and it had jumped up. Initially, I was paying 19 something. Then I was paying about $34-35. But then this next bill was going to be $69. Can you believe that? So we went up from like $19.98 or something all the way up to $69 span of like 2 months. Whoa, that's like way too high. I can't afford that. And this is just regular internet, not anything fancy, no telephone packages, no movie packages, just the internet. And Spectrum had raised their rate. I think it's like $72 right now, and they had some kind of discount on it of $10, but then with taxes and everything, it was $69 a month. So I decided to go ahead and give them a call and tell them, hey, the cable company or the internet company, and don't ask for billing. When I asked for billing, it tried to do weird stuff, and it tried to charge me an additional $5 to talk to a human with regard to paying the bill. So I hung up on that, and then I called, and then I had to tell the machine, the robot on the other end, I was canceling my service or reducing my service. So I said service reduction or cancellation is what I picked, and I told the computer. So when they hear the word that you're going to cancel, they put a human on it right away. So I told them I was canceling, and the lady came on, and I told her, I says, I'm calling because my bill jumped up to the point where I can't pay it anymore. So I'm calling to see if you can do anything for me to lower the bill, or I'm going to have to cancel because I can't afford the current rate. And she went on the computer and started punching in a bunch of stuff, and then eventually came back and said she got it down to $34.99, which is like $35, which is what I was paying after the government program had ended, which I can afford. I mean, it's more than the $20 a month that I was paying before, but it's half of the $70. So she said that because of my area, I still qualify for the government thingy where they pay half of it. They're trying to get everybody to be able to access the internet, because you kind of need the internet. The internet's kind of like, a telephone almost. I mean, a lot of telephone now runs through the internet. So anyhow, if you're trying to lower your cable bill, call your cable or your internet bill, call your the company and just tell them, you know, you can't afford to pay it, and see if they can lower it, or else you might have to quit. Well, not might have to, you probably should plan to quit. Once they start charging $70 just for basic internet, that's not even with telephone or movies or anything like that. That's a little high. You know, it's what happens when monopolies develop. And in Florida, goes back to like 20 years ago. I remember the internet providers and the telephone providers shaking hand with the governor. And then they say that there's competition, but there's not really, because what they did was they said, this company will take this zone, and this company will take this zone. So with no competition, it's pretty much a monopoly of like 4, 5, 6 different, you know, companies that control the area. So prices have gone way up. Back then you could get cable for like $14. Now what is it? I don't even know, probably 60 bucks. But they're charging that for the internet. But go ahead and call and tell them, you know, you can't afford to pay it. Can they do a better deal? You're gonna have to drop the services and go with somebody else. I was prepared to go with the phone company, and then, you know, it wouldn't be as fast. It would be 5G wireless, and I think they were selling it for $45, $50 a month. You know, which is higher than what I'm paying right now, but it was lower than $70. So I was prepared to do that had they not been able to help me. But let them know. And if you live in a poor area, as defined by the government, so you might not even think you're in a poor area, but if the government has listed your area as, you know, not rich, you might qualify for the discount where they're lowering the internet prices by half. The government will pay for the other half. I know some of you are like, well, you're getting it off taxpayer dollars. Yeah, I'm a taxpayer. I pay taxes. So, you know, I never feel bad about getting government services because I am one of the people paying taxes. And then, you know, I'm one of the, they've been taxing me since I've been working since I was 16 years old. So, you know, I never feel bad. Like, I'm not on food stamps or anything like that because I can afford to, you know, buy my own food and stuff. I don't know if I would even qualify, but I don't need it, you know, so I don't bother. I did use food stamps when I first started living in a van because if you were following along, then you know I had no job, no nothing. I had $3 in my pocket. So I needed the food stamps, and that kept me alive. But, you know, once I started working and stuff, I dropped the food stamps. I don't really need it. But the internet, yeah, that's a regular monthly occurrence, and saving me roughly $35 a month, that's worth it. You know, it's like almost $500 a year. So check that out. Just wanted to give you guys a tip on that for those of you who are paying full price for your internet. Call them. I know they've been raising the rates of everything. You know, they say, I guess because of inflation, everything's gone up. Because before, I remember the price of internet in this area used to be like $49 something, $49.95. But now it's like $72. That's like almost twice as much. You know, it's 3/4 as much. Where, yeah, 3/4 higher, 75% higher than it was last year. So prices are crazy, and I don't know how people can afford it because most companies haven't given their employees a 75% pay raise. I think, you know, a lot of people were telling me, people I know were saying their workplace is only giving them a 2% pay raise and acting like that's a big deal. Getting a 2% pay raise for this year when the cost of everything has gone up 9% or more. So you're losing, you're taking a 7% pay cut. So, you know, time to find another job. Really. I mean, if they're only giving you a 2% pay raise and everything else has gone up, they're giving you a pay cut, not a pay raise. And for them to brag and say 2% is good because all the previous years they only gave you 1 or 1.5%. You know how I feel about those companies. So I'm glad I don't work for a company like that. The company I work for, without even asking for a pay raise and not even time for a pay raise, when the cost of living went up, they pulled us all aside and gave us a raise to equate to the cost of living adjustment. So the company was good enough to say, hey, the cost of living went up, so we're going to adjust your pay rate based upon that to bring you up. Although it's still behind, but at least they made the gesture, you know. I think they brought me up like 8 or 9% to equate the cost of living adjustment, but gasoline didn't go up 8 or 9%. It went up like twice, like 100%. So it's like food and gasoline did not go up 8 or 9%. Food and gasoline, pretty much, you know, the things that you need, they didn't go up 8 or 9%. And even the internet, you know, when we're talking it was $49 and now it's $72, that's not 9%, that's not 8%. So I don't know where they get their 8 or 9% cost of living adjustment, or, you know, increase, but the cost of living where I am didn't go up 8 or 9%. For most items like food and gasoline and stuff, it went up 75 to 200%. So I think for them to come up with a 9%, it just makes it easier for them to not give you much of a raise or anything at all. But at least my company did, you know, when they got the number from the government releasing how much inflation it hit due to the COVID and all the supply issues and everything else, they automatically increased my pay so that I wasn't working for less. And then when it came time for, you know, the annual review, then they do your raise then, you know, and they give you anywhere from like roughly 1.5% to 5%, depending on how good they think you are. So, I'm glad I work for a company like that. Hopefully everybody has a company like that. If you don't, you might want to see if you can find a company like that to work for, because companies that tell you got 2% pay raise and you should be happy with that, when the official government number is over 9%, you know, 8.5 or 9% cost of living increase, that company sucks. You know, If I had a company, if I was being told that by a company, I would have told them right there, you guys can take your job and shove it. You know, you're acting like a 2% pay raise is a big deal when the cost of living is way higher, you know, than even what the government figure says, you know. I'll quit. You know, some people say, well, you can't afford to quit because you gotta have a job. You look for another job. Supposedly there's there's a worker shortage. That's what they all keep saying, right? All the employers keep saying there's not enough workers. Well, maybe you should pay people more. Then maybe you'll get more workers. Maybe you should pay them so they can at least afford to live. So save money, call those people, call the companies, tell them you can't afford to pay it. Can they cut you a deal, or you're gonna have to go somewhere else? And don't be afraid to go somewhere else. But look it up before you do it to make sure you really can put up with reduced services like going to 5G or 4G network for internet wireless versus cable modem, because internet through the cable is faster typically, because it's not through the telephone lines. You know, even with DSL telephone lines, it's still going to be limited. It's going to be slower than going with the actual cable company. But most cable companies, when you call them and tell them you're going to quit, they'll kind of go out of their way to try to get you a good rate. I'm going to read your comments real quick before I sign out. Yeah, Herbert says saving money one bill at a time. Yeah, you know, if you cut your cost of living down, then you have more money to do fun stuff, you know, or whatever additional projects you need to work on, like fixing up the house or something. I guess she bought two 100-watt solar panels yesterday, and buying a refurbished Blue Eddy to put on the 0% credit card. You have a 0% credit card? Holy sh! You must have golden credit. I have gotten a whole bunch of credit lately, and the rate is like 25 to 26%, which is horrendous. But I've been getting those credit cards to try to increase my credit rating, my credit score. So I went from really bad, like in the low 500s. Like I think when we started, my credit was like 528, 545, somewhere in that range, which isn't like bad. I mean, it's on the lower end, but it's not like horrendous. But that's where we started, and now I'm up to almost 700. You have to get like 750 or higher, 745 and higher to be considered like good credit. So I'm about 40, 50 points shy of being, well, not good, but excellent. I'm in the good range right now. So I was getting all sorts of credit offers. There's still crappy interest rates. I remember I used to have credit cards that had like 8 or 9%, 7 or 8% interest rate. But the ones I've been getting offered lately are all like 23 to 33%, which is ridiculous. But I took some of them that were 25% because I don't plan on putting a balance and owing. I plan on paying it off every month. That's the hope, at least. So I've been grabbing those, a couple credit cards like that. They're all high. As my credit goes up, I might start getting rid of the ones with the bad interest rates on them and try to go with the lower interest. But for now, getting them is boosting up my credit rating. So I'm trying to rebuild everything back up to, pre-disaster in my life. Before everything fell apart and I lost everything. So if I can get my credit up, I can reduce the credit card rates by getting rid of the bad ones and getting good ones. But right now, my big tip would be, don't get a credit card that makes you pay an annual fee. So even though all of these have bad interest rates, I don't have to pay an annual fee on any of them, or even a sign-on charge or anything like that. That's bogus. And try to get the ones that have cash back, like 1% cash back, so you get some money. And don't spend more than you can afford to pay off each billing period. So I might sometimes I'll rack up $600 or $700 on a credit card because I spent it on food, gas, and utilities and everything else. But I have that money in the bank so I can pay it off so that it doesn't collect interest, So you want to do that. Even then the percentage, the interest rate doesn't matter, which is what I'm trying to keep it like, so. Scrolling through here. Oh, you're welcome, Idoji. Talking about that again, Idoji, and anybody else looking for a job. For those of you who know me and stuff, I'm currently working as a janitor, and a lot of people look down at janitors and stuff, but it depends. See, it's like if you watch this episode by Inspirational Nomad. I'm getting all my nomads mixed up. Inspirational Nomad a couple weeks ago did a really nice episode about jobs and how they're not all equal. And he was talking about like being a security guard, and how if you're a security guard at like a Walmart or a Target or something, it's not equal to like being a security guard at a big corporation or for the government, because being a security guard at Walmart and stuff, it's kind of limited, kind of a dead end. But if you're a security guard at a corporation or something, you're going to meet those people. You're going to know the boss. You're going to know all the important people. And they can actually end up helping you get into a better job, like maybe with information technology or something, if you have other skills, For me, like where I am right now, I could possibly try to shift into a better position than being a janitor, but I like being the janitor. This is one of the best jobs I've had other than teaching. I love my teaching job, and this is number 2, my second favorite job. And the reason is because they treat me really nice. They pay me well, you know. The job isn't too hard. It's one of those jobs where you know what you're doing and you're done at the end of the day. You don't take it home with you. And, you know, I have actually had my hours cut on purpose. They want me working 80 hours, but I didn't want to work 80 hours. So I had it cut, you know, so I'm only working, I mean, they wanted me working 40-hour weeks, 80 hours every 2 weeks. But I had it cut, you know, I was trying to cut it down to 40 every 2 weeks. But they said I couldn't do that if I wanted to keep the benefits. So I wanted to keep the dental benefits, you know, even though I don't need the vision. Most of the other stuff I get covered by the VA. But I could add my family and stuff if they needed it. So I went ahead and paid for the family package for dental and everything else so my family would have extra coverage if they needed it. And had to work and have to work, you know, 30-hour weeks. So that's the minimum, you know, that I could do. I mean, I have to do at least 30. So I'd like to work less, but I'll take the 30 versus working 40. And the job that I'm at, they don't treat me like a janitor. They treat me like a coworker. You know, we're all part of the same team putting the spaceships up. So it's a lot different than if you got a job at like Walmart as a janitor or even a school janitor. School janitors work very hard, but you're dealing with messes made by kids. And kids tend to be kind of a-holes. Not all of them, but some kids, they like to make a mess for the janitor. They get on a power trip where they think, I can make an adult have to clean up this big mess that I made. So, you know, working in a school, a janitor working in a school would have to work very hard, and the pay is probably going to be on the lower end. Although I heard, you know, previously, years ago, New York janitors or New Jersey janitors, I think it's New York or New Jersey janitors, were making like $79,000 a year. So that's really good, you know. But Brevard County, I think a janitor here in the school probably makes like $9 or $10 an hour. And the janitor work they do there at the school is probably harder than the work I do at the space agency. And Walmart, if you've ever been in Walmart and seen their bathrooms, you don't want to be a janitor there. People are nasty. So, you know, you want to be a janitor, if you're going to be a janitor or something, try to pick a place that's like an actual business that makes like decent money or has government contracts and stuff. They'll treat you better and pay you better, and the work's probably not as hard. You can even try to get a job as a janitor with the post office, you know. But honestly, post office sucks. They mistreat their employees. I know, because I used to be one. But as a janitor for the post office, you're probably going to make at least $16 an hour or more in Florida. Elsewhere, you probably get paid more. But if you could get a janitor job like at an embassy or something, that would be really good. Then you could travel around the whole world. Usually, though, if you want to get into those kind of jobs, you can't just go and apply. Typically, a lot of those places, they'll hire from temp agencies. So what you want to do is get in with a temp agency that hires you out to like corporations and government entities. And then they check you out, you know, like they have you go in and work there for anywhere from 3 months or more. And then if they like you, then they have to kind of like buy you out from the agency. They give the agency, I guess they give the agency money, and then the agency releases you, and then you can work for that company as an employee. That's how I ended up with the space agency. Was, you know, I worked there for like, I was there actually a year, because there was some paperwork issues, I think, with me because of my history. You know, I think they had to really push to get me on because of my past. It was not exactly clean, but they liked me. And I think when a company likes you, when the people like you, they kind of can bend the rules. So if you can get in with a temp agency and work as a cleaner, you know, for a company that eventually wants you, that's the best kind of job. Like the other janitor who works with me, he's worked at embassies before, and he was like overseas. So he's been all over the world. And you know, and the position we're in right now, because we're at a space agency, sometimes you can go TDY, where you go on temporary duty to another country or another state, to work from there, where they launch rockets. Me, I don't really want to leave anywhere because I have family, so I just want simple. I just want a job that's kind of like a choo-choo train on its route. I want it to be predictable. So the position I'm in right now, they had asked me if I wanted more training to do additional work. Of course, you get paid more and all that. I declined because I didn't. I don't want to. I know I'm not going to stay there that long, and they know that. I'm only staying there until I don't feel like working anymore. I was staying there waiting for COVID to kind of clear up so I can go to Thailand. And now COVID is kind of lifting, but I'm like, if I can stay a little bit longer, okay, I can wait until my kid is fully grown up and child support will be totally done. And then I might consider quitting. Meanwhile, it's giving me an opportunity to build up my credit, to try to save up some money, so that if I decide to just retire and stuff and travel, I'll actually have money. I won't have to do it I have to do it on a budget, but it won't be a budget of $3. I'll have quite a bit more than $3. Speaking of investments and money, some of you have been watching me. I have land. I bought some off-grid land, swamp land in Florida. It's over at Hullapaw. If you look up Suburban Estate, Hullapaw, Florida, that's where it is. I have that land, and I'm thinking of selling it. So if you're interested in off-grid land, that it's not officially buildable, but people have built camps out there, like pretty much a house out there. You just can't lay the foundation, and you just got to call it a camp, instead of a house. But people have built like A-frame buildings and stuff, some of them multiple stories high, and they have electricity and stuff out there. So some people live full-time out there. You're not officially supposed to live out there, but people do. But anyhow, if you're interested in that land, let me know in the comments below. It's I think it's like 1.25 acres or 1.22 acres of land. And you can't build, but you can build without a foundation. So you could, put a building there without a foundation. You could possibly pull out, what do they call those boxes, those metal containers, shipping container. You could live out there in a shipping container. People have built shipping container structures out there. You could build things on stilts. You could pull out a mobile home or an RV unit and stick it out there and have it as camp, The big problem that I can tell you with it is that the roadway, because, my land actually has road that runs up to it. It comes off the main trail. They call it trails there because it's not really a road. It's like a dirt road. And the problem with it is it's what's that sand? It's that Florida sand. It's like sugar sand. Yeah, they call it sugar sand. And what it is really fine sand, and your car will actually kind of sink in it. So to get out there, you pretty much need a 4x4 truck. And you got to be the type that can deal with riding through mud and swampland. But it's kind of somewhat private out there. You're out there in the middle of nowhere, other than the other neighbors, and they all have trucks and stuff, so they can all get out there and stuff. But if you're interested in that land, let me know. I might be willing to work out a deal where I take payments, like I'll finance you, and maybe take like $300 a month or something until you can pay it off. But while you're paying me, I'd be willing to get the keys and stuff so you can actually use the land even before you pay it off. But you got to make the payments and keep making the payments and not just stop paying, because then the deal negates with no refund. So if you're interested in off-grid land that you could live in right now, let me know. We can work out some kind of payment arrangement. and get you to the point where you can get the keys and you can go out there and set up your camp. But you have to be the type that can deal with driving through swamps. Yeah. And being able to generate your own electricity, catching rainwater, all that stuff, because you're totally off grid. So let me know. Maggie says there were signs for several companies paying $20 an hour in southern Indiana. Supposedly, I saw a thing for Delta. I think it was Delta Airlines, looking for, I don't know if it was data entry clerks or something. Customer satisfaction clerks. And they were supposedly starting at between $32 to $40 an hour. So, yeah, there may be a lot of jobs up there that are paying a lot. So be very picky what you pick, with your job. And remember, these jobs, these employers, for the most part, unless you're lucky, most of them, they kind of use you and abuse you. Like, don't put your loyalty to a company that might be willing to drop you real fast, for profit purposes and stuff, like Twitter, for example. Elon Musk just bought out Twitter, and I think he's probably going to lay off a bunch of people, to increase the bottom line, to get the company to be more profitable and stuff. So if you're working for a company, make sure you try to get as much out of it as you can, whether it be benefits or salary and stuff. It's not like it was 20 years ago, where you kind of picked a company and you thought you were going to stay there until you retired and they would have a good pension and that. I think for the most part, those companies are all gone. The new companies are all about, let's make a quick buck, don't care about the employees. I'm fortunate in that the company I'm with seems like they care about their employees, but I also know that, if they weren't making money, if they weren't as profitable as they are, they would be willing to drop me like a rock. So get as much as you can out of it while you can. If you're lucky, you'll have a company like I do that cares about the employees and will actually compensate you adequately. They pay you enough to live, and bonuses and things like that. They don't just pay you the bare minimum and mistreat you. So look for companies that at least treat you nice, that you enjoy working. That should be your priority. Don't take a crappy position, because it's not going to get better. If they start you off crappy and say it will improve, don't believe them. And also, if you get a company like the United States Post Office that has a huge turnover rate, like constantly losing people, that is a big clue that is not a place you want to work. Like Walmart has a high turnover rate. UPS has a, USPS, United States Postal Service, has a very high turnover rate. Teaching has very high turnover rate. So if you're going into a career field that has a very high turnover rate, there's a reason there's a high turnover rate. They better pay you a humongous amount of money for you to put up with the BS and stuff, or it's not worth going in, because you're going to be one of those people turning over in a couple months or a year. So Maggie says her zero credit won't be zero permanent, but for 12 months. That's still very good. So, I would do a transfer of 0%, But honestly, it doesn't matter to me, because I'm not planning on holding a balance. They could charge a 90% credit, and it won't bother me, because I don't plan on holding a balance and paying them the interest. Matter of fact, because they have 1%, 2%, 3% cash back, I make money on them. And the other benefit of using a credit card is, I think when you do a car rental and stuff, depending on the credit card now, double check the policy on the credit card. Like, I just got American Express. And if I rent on that, a rental car, I think it includes rental car insurance. So I don't have to pay my insurance company additional. Like, I only have minimal coverage on my insurance, on my auto insurance. So if I rent the car and pay for it with the American Express, then that automatically covers the rental insurance, So I don't have to pay additional on that. It also has like injury protection and stuff like that, so you can get like 100,000 if you lose an arm or leg or something. So there are benefits to having a credit card, and I will buy sometimes iffy stuff with a credit card, like online, because if it's not what was advertised or there are problems, I will let the credit card company know and they will fight for me. And I already decided they have to fight for me and go my way, because if they don't, I don't care about my credit. I'll just let it go to shit and not pay. So a credit card company, like I've done hotels, I go through hotels.com, and when the hotel is bad or whatever, I tell the hotel, and if they don't do something to fix it, like give me credit or something, then I contact hotels.com to fix it. And usually hotels.com will give me credit, either partial credit, like 20 bucks or whatever, or another night somewhere else, a free night. If they don't do that, I'll just cancel their services and not use it anymore. But I'll also go through my credit card company that I use to make the payments to hotels.com and dispute it, and get my money back one way or the other. So if you're persistent like that, you have to be nowadays, because so many people just want your money and run off and give you shit. They don't even give you the room that was promised. Let's see. Idoji, I'm going to recommend, if you don't have, any specific jobs or anything in mind, sign up with a temp agency, that you have certain skills that they can promote. Now, for me, when I signed up with a temp agency, I could have tried to get into IT, information technology, because I have those skills, but I didn't really want to do it. So for me, I kind of just took the mediocre low-end jobs, which ended up in a good position right now, which was kind of, I don't know if it's an accident or fate, but when I was working for the temp agency, I was taking job as like janitor, porter, worked at the baseball stadium as a porter, which basically is just a fancy name for a janitor or an assistant that goes around cleaning, But cleaning, really, you don't need any degree or anything. Do it right out of high school, maybe even without a high school diploma. But you get into a job and they assign you to a company, try to get ones that, don't get the ones that do stuff like stick you in the ditch. Remember I did those jobs? Those, they tend to be for people who are felons and stuff and can't get any other job. But try to get into a good temp agency that contracts with like big corporations and businesses and stuff. And then when you go and you work there, you can see if you would like working there or not. And a lot of those companies, that's how they hire people. They try you out. Like they hire you through the temp, and they're watching you to see how you work and whether or not you fit in with them. And then if they like you, they might approach you. They will approach you and see, they'll say they have an opening coming up and you should apply for it. And if you like them, you can apply for that. And typically they know how much the agency was paying you, the temp agency. So typically if they want you, they're going to need to pay you at least that much or more. And most of them will pay more than what the agent, because see, the way it works, I think when they go through the agency, they have to pay the agency what the agency is paying you plus an additional fee. So let's say the agency's paying you 15 bucks an hour. The company is probably paying the agency 25 bucks an hour. And when they hire you, they shouldn't have a problem with giving you 17 an hour or more, So temp agency is a great way to get your foot in the door and show the kind of worker you are and how much you're worth, and also see a company that you might want to work for. If you want to work for recreational stuff, you can look up the company called Delaware North. They're the people who I worked for as a temp at Kennedy Space Center. But they also run like a bunch of national parks and other services and stuff. But look up Delaware, like the Delaware, just like you would spell Delaware for the state, Delaware North. They run like I think even stuff at the Grand Canyon. So they have a lot of national parks, basically theme type park thingies that are run by the government. Delaware North is the one who does this stuff. Like a lot of people assume that when you go to Kennedy Space Center, remember I wore the NASA outfit with the NASA hat, the NASA t-shirts and stuff. I wasn't working for NASA. I was working for Delaware North. And Kennedy Space Center, the visitors complex, those people there, they're not really NASA. The Delaware North, which is a catering type thing for tourists thing, So they cut a deal with the government to run that, to educate the American public, and I guess they make money on it. I don't think they even pay Kennedy Space Center anything. I don't think the government makes any money on it at all. But the company's allowed to sit there and, do the displays and all that, get the astronauts and stuff to come by, and it looks official and stuff, but it's really civilian. It's not really NASA. The Kennedy Space Center is run mostly by Delaware North for the catering, the food services, janitorial type stuff. I originally was going to work for Delaware North because they wanted to hire me, but then I saw they were paying less. They were going to pay me less as a full-time employee than I was making as a temp. So beware of that. And of course I told them, no way. I'm not going to work here full-time and get less than I was making working temp. Because in the temp job, at least I can decide if I want to work or not. When the temp agency calls me and says, do you want to come work here for 3 days? It may not be worth 3 days for me to go work. I might say, I need a job that's at least 5 days or a week or 2 or whatever. So temp agencies are good choice if you're undecided on your career. But Delaware North, if you want to work for that type of stuff, you could end up in a national park or something. You never know what they have in your area. Just scrolling through here. Just reading your comments. Okay, that's pretty much it. Another place you might consider, Idoji, is hospitals. Any hospitals in your area. They may not have the best pay, but I think it'll be higher than school. And it may not be as bad as at a school. I can tell you that a hospital janitor probably works harder than I do. Because I'm at a space agency, and the people there, they tend to be educated and clean. So they generally don't trash everything, they're not as messy as people at Walmart. So, and not as messy as students. In the hospital, you have the general population, so it can get somewhat messy, but typically hospitals are pretty clean. So, I would try to, if I had a choice between a janitor of Walmart or a hospital, I'd take the hospital. If I have between the hospital and the space agency, definitely the space agency. So look around. Not all jobs, even though they have the exact same title, are equal. I'm going to sign off for now. I want to thank you all for joining me. I want to remind you to keep Bill in your prayers. I've been visiting him almost every day. He is going to end up in rehab. So, we're going to have to get him in rehab right now. To make a long story short, he didn't have a local doctor. I'm trying to find a doctor for him so they can release him. But he's going to end up in rehab. So hopefully they'll be able to help him at least try to get some movement back. And keep him in your thoughts and prayers. I am going to go ahead and sign out. Maggie says nurses are doing the janitor work in the hospitals. My temp agency was... crap, now I can't remember the name. I don't remember the name. Spherian. Spherian. Like the circle, sphere. Spherian. They actually got sold out. So, Spherian has like several offices. They have it in Melbourne, and I think they have it in South Florida. And I don't know if they have it elsewhere, Connection of Spherian Network. But Spherian is where I worked. And I think each area may have its own owner. So I know that when they got the new owners, it got kind of messed up. the new people kind of didn't know what they were doing. So it kind of got a little bit bad. I preferred the original owners. So the other, there's also more than one temp agency, so you can try several temp agencies like at the same time, and then see which one you like better. And as a temp, you actually are kind of a employee for the temp agency, and a lot of them have medical benefits. So if you want to pay for insurance and stuff, you can go through the temp agency. And some people prefer to stay as a temp, so they just keep working temp jobs. One of the benefits of working as a temp is that you can decide when you don't want to work. Like I can say, you know what, I want to take off for 1 month. I'm going to take off for a month and do some traveling. You don't have to quit your job. Just let the temp agency know you're taking off for a month. Now, you're not going to get paid or anything, but when you come back, you just come back and say, I'm back in town. If you guys need me, I'm available for work. So that's the power of a temp agency job, being a temp. The other thing is, let's say they say, Walmart needs a janitor. I can tell them, no way, I don't want to go work at Walmart. Now, if you turn down every job that they offer you, the temp agency will stop offering you jobs. So you want to take some of the jobs, especially, if they're okay. They might not be perfect. So you can't turn down too many jobs. But if it's a really bad job that you don't want, you can turn it down. Like if they say the pay is this much and you want more than that, don't take that crappy one. You can kind of set how much you're willing to work. But keep in mind, temp agency pay isn't going to be super high. Although if you were working as a temp as an IT technology specialist or a programmer or something that was highly skilled, like even they have temp agencies for nurses and CNAs and stuff like that. Those will pay pretty good. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and sign out. Want to wish you all well. Want to wish Edoji luck in his job quest. Hopefully you get the job that you enjoy and that pays you decently, and maybe it could become a career. You never know. Until next time, everyone, take care. God bless you all. Stay safe. And remember, if companies are overcharging you, call them and see if they can reduce it. Have a backup plan to actually quit, and go to another company if the company isn't willing to work with you. LP wants to know if I've done any more investing in stocks. For those of you who are curious on what's going on with that, this is what happened. Initially, I went in with about $2,600 that I had set aside for investing. I lost $1,600. Initially, I went in with $2,600. Within the first 2 or 3 weeks, I made like $700 or $800. Then the crash happened, and it plummeted and plummeted and plummeted and plummeted. And then I ended up pulling out about $700 back into my account to have some money. And I left about $900 in my account, my Robinhood account. It's gone back up right now to about $1,160. What I ended up doing was I stopped buying for now, although I'm getting ready to buy some more. I stopped buying the penny stocks, and I bought Ford stocks when they were about $12.55. They're now back up to 13 something, which I still think they're undervalued. I think they're going to go up. So I bought Ford stocks because supposedly they pay dividends. And I also bought Walgreens, WBA, Walgreens Boot Alliance. They pay dividends. So I bought them because I think those stocks, I think all the stocks are really low right now. So if you have money, this is a time to buy. They're all starting to go up now, though. So the Ford has gone up since it went down. It's gone up, and I've made about $70 or $80 profit on it, from what I paid if I sell it. And the Walgreens was only about like $30, $40 profit so far. So it's going up slower than it went down. When it went down, it plummeted. I am thinking of putting in another 500 to 1,000 to go back and try the gamble again with the penny stocks. Like, for example, COMS, C-O-M-S. They were down as low as 4 pennies, 4.5 cents. I think if it drops back down to 4 cents, even 4.9 or 4.9 cents or 4.7, I think I'm going to buy a shitload of it. Because, if it goes up to 8 cents, that's like 100% return, 200%, up. So I'm looking at the penny stocks, and hopefully they don't go bankrupt. But I'm thinking of gambling again and maybe putting $500, possibly upwards of $1,000 short term to invest in for like 1 or 2 months, but more like 1 or 2 weeks or 1 or 2 days, to buy in at like 4 or 5 cents a share and have it go up to at least like 9 or 10 cents and then sell it and double my money. So it's not going to be a lot, but I could turn possibly 500 into 1,000, in a week or two. And I will use that money for traveling and stuff. So that's what's going on with that. But in the meantime, I do have Ford stocks and Walgreens Boot Alliance. And I also bought like, I guess it's a collection of stocks. It's like they have like prepackaged deals. But I've been going after the ones that pay dividends, like trying to find the ones that pay the most dividends. Like the one I got, I don't remember the name of it, but it's approximately it's $5. When I bought it, it was $4.60 a share, but now it's like $5 a share. And it pays dividends supposedly of 24%. So that's what I've been doing, is trying to get stocks that pay dividends and kind of leaving it there because the market was going to crap. And now that it's really low, I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, maybe I should take at least $500 to $1,000 and gamble on the penny stocks that are now less than 10 cents, because they could go way up. If I had more money, I'd sink a lot more in. But of course, if they go bankrupt, if they go totally kaput, you could lose everything. But imagine if you put in $100,000 on a stock that was 4 cents and it jumped up to 8 cents, you could make, another $100,000 in one day. So, but it's risky. Oh yeah, like as a matter of fact, the people who got Dogecoin, now that Elon Musk has taken over Twitter, it went up like 35% in one day. So you could have made 35% return in one day, although it's starting to drop again. I kind of left crypto, especially Doge and Ethereum and stuff, because they kind of link together, and that when one goes up, the other one goes up. And Dogecoin, with Elon Musk, every time he tweets something, it can totally like collapse or totally go crazy. So I decided most of my investments now, for long-term holding, I'm trying to get stuff like companies that I hope won't go bankrupt, like Ford and Walgreens, because they pay very good dividends. I might try to get some IBM, and but IBM's a little bit more expensive. I think I don't remember how much it is, but IBM's expensive. And there's a natural gas company, but it's like, I don't know if it's 120 or 240 per share. It supposedly pays really good dividends and seems to be going up every year. So I'm looking at more like long term, even though I still want to make money real fast. So I'm putting some for long term, and I'm gambling for low, short term, like maybe $1,000 or $2,000 I'm willing to gamble. And the others I'm just holding until I maybe go to Thailand or something. And if I have enough money in it, maybe I get dividends and can live off the dividends. Won't be able to do it in America because I don't have enough money to make enough dividends. But let's say I get $100, $200 in dividends. If I was living in Thailand, $100 or $200, that's a lot of money. I mean, it's not enough for, $100 or $200 could rent a cheap apartment if I really want to go super cheap. But now that, I'm working and have some money saved up, if I go to Thailand, I would probably rent a condo that's in the $500 or $600 a month range, which doesn't sound like a lot in the United States, but it's the equivalent of getting a condo or something here that's about $3,000 to $5,000 a month. So you can imagine how nice it would be. So if I get a condo in Thailand that's about $500, $600 a month, the same condo here in the United States would probably run me at least $3,000 to $5,000 a month. So We're talking quite an upgrade from the $200 a month hotels or condos I was looking to rent before. Those were basically just a room with a kitchen and a bathroom. The new condos, they're somewhat like that, but they include stuff like, workout rooms and swimming pools and jacuzzis and things like that. So it'd be kind of high end. For $500 or $600, I'll take it. Anyhow, I am going to go ahead and sign out. Take care, everyone. God bless you all. Stay safe. Good lucky doji. Got you in my thoughts and prayers. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye now.